Alright, guys. This is going to be a crazy segment. And I don't know if my point will necessarily get across to many of you. Like the main point that I'm trying to make. But I hope most of you guys can see where I'm going with this. I saw a tweet recently. Or I heard someone talking about a tweet they saw recently. My bad. But the tweet itself, I think, made a very good point. And I don't oftentimes quote a tweet, but it was a good one. They said, "Just a reminder, Auschwitz wasn't in Germany." They tweeted this shortly after it came out that Trump would be shipping suspected is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, suspected cartel members to El Salvadorian prisons, notably mega prisons, notably the mega prison. And if you don't know what I mean when I say the mega prison, you're all about to find out. There is a YouTuber, a massive YouTuber, named Ruhi Senat, or Senate, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. And he makes documentaries. The best way I can really, the best comparison I can make to, what he makes to something a little more familiar is, old Vice documentaries, where he does some crazy shit or goes to a crazy place and gets really good footage, really leans in on the editing and music and thumbnails, and ends up going giga-viral. These are videos, like the one we're about to watch, that have tens to over 100 million views, right? And, well, I guess I've kind of given away what we're going to be watching. I haven't seen most of this video, but it shows as watched because I skimmed through it. But this video is him going to Sikot, which is the biggest prison. It is a mega prison for cartel members in El Salvador. And it is fucking huge. It is scary as fuck. It is massively inhumane on an objective level. And it is also one of Donald Trump's favorite places on the planet. In fact, the president of El Salvador, I forget what his name is. It's like Bubkiss or something like that. I forget what his last name is, because I was reading about him literally earlier today, and his like talks with Trump and how Trump and him are kind of best buds. And I was reading the comments of this video, and it seems like there's a lot of weird talking points, and I don't know whether I should take these seriously or raise an eyebrow at them. For instance, here's a comment on this video we're about to watch. "As a Salvadoran living my whole life here, I can confirm these people are the worst thing that my country has ever suffered. Seeing corpses on the road every day, being involved in street shootings, hearing they killed somebody you used to love, being afraid of visiting family or friends. All that was the life of average citizens, but now seeing them incarcerated gives fresh air to the streets of my little country. I am a young Salvadoran, and the country has changed drastically since President Bukele," that's his name, Bukele, "took office. Before him, there was a lot of crime, and you couldn't go anywhere for the same reason. The gangs and the previous governments were corrupt, but since President Bukele took office, there has been great peace and tranquility in the country. Although some organizations say that the treatment of criminals is wrong, these organizations that protect rights do not know what it was like to not be able to go out on the streets and not feel safe, or know if you could get home alive. The president's term has been a drastic change for the better, and only a true Salvadoran who lived through the country's darkest years knows that this term, what we have so far, has been the best thing that has ever happened to us, and now we have gone from being the most unsafe country in the world to one of the safest. Greetings from El Salvador, and thanks for making this video." From what I looked up, by the way, El Salvador has been on a consistent trend of dropping crime well before Bukele took office. It's pronounced like Bukele? Bukele? I'm pretty sure Bukele? Bukele? I don't fucking care. Anyway, if you guys want to know what exactly they are praising in the comment sections, or comment section of this video, well, prepare to see. This is the mega prison in El Salvador, and yes, I believe Trump has sent numerous people specifically here to the place you're going to see. But even if most haven't been, what you're about to see here is pretty representative of the treatment that the people being sent off to these prisons can expect.
What you see behind me is the world's strictest and largest prison. This mega prison has a capacity of 40,000. Prisoners here are the most unsafe people you can even imagine. How many people's lives have you ended? Is it 5 or 10? How many?
More than 50.
MS-13 and many other gangs. These are animals. These aren't people. They're psychopaths, sociopaths, the kind of people we have here.
We're about to see the worst of the worst.
Welcome to CCOP, the world's largest prison by capacity in El Salvador, which was constructed
So, it may...
Welcome to CCOP, the world's largest...
It may look somewhat small or not all that impressive. Dude, this place is like Fort fucking Knox. Especially when you see it from this front gate, like where it's all this just big cement wall. It looks like the kind of place you only see in movies. Like you don't even know that this place fucking exists. Like, you don't know that places like this exist outside of movies until you see it in a video like this. Like, this is the kind of thing I would assume exists in real life, but I could never, like, name a place like it outside of, like, fucking Guantanamo, right? Like, this is arguably worse than Guantanamo in a lot of ways, and you're about to see why.
Prison by capacity in El Salvador, which was constructed to imprison the highest profile criminals. Those who enter this prison are destined never to leave alive.
There's no way out. How are you gonna come out of this?
The reason why this small country of 6 million needs the largest prison is the gangs. Once dominating the country, these gangs faced a dramatic crackdown starting in March 2022. Under President Nayib Bukele's administration, over 70,000 individuals, about 2% of the country's adult population, were arrested within just 16 months. Buses transport...
So this is a big, assuming it's not propaganda, this is probably a big reason why people are reporting it's so much safer, is the extremely tough on crime administration has arrested apparently 2% of the male population of the country in 1 year. And I will say, maybe the tattoos are not a good thing to go off of, but, like, a lot of these dudes are tatted up in ways that do seem to indicate, just to my eyes, gang affiliation. Probably 90%, if not more, of these guys are very dangerous people who have murdered a lot of innocents. But the problem is, we also know that Trump and his administration are planning to send people to these prisons on suspicion of being illegal, or even in cases where they are citizens, or I should say, they have, like, legal citizenship here temporarily.
Reported thousands of chained gang members to CCOT in a tightly coordinated nighttime operation. Sitting one behind the other.
I think it's also important to keep in mind this video, in 2 months, has pulled over 100 million views on YouTube. This is not just what conservatives are watching, it's what Americans are watching. This is the documentary and news content that most Americans are consuming and taking seriously and trusting. So what they're seeing here is extremely effective fear-mongering. Americans are steeped in rhetoric and media like this and are watching it in unfathomable numbers, and this is why Americans had such a bewilderingly high rate of support for mass deportations as a politics issue during the election. Like, most Americans wanted mass deportation. They polled overwhelmingly in every poll that was asked, yes, we want mass deportations. We want immense amounts of deportation. That is what most Americans, like 70-something%, wanted, left and right. Like, it is very much not a political boundary thing anymore. Americans want a less brown America. Like that is like whether it be fear-mongering about crime or being a full-on, like, white nationalist, the amount of cohesion across political groups on this issue comes primarily through fear-mongering propaganda like this, which I don't even know if that's what this video meant to be. This guy doesn't really do politics so much as he just does, like, I'm gonna go to a crazy place and try to make an entertaining video. But this particular video, I think, gives you a good insight into, like, I mean, this video literally doubled the performance of every other thing he's uploaded on his channel. This is his most successful video. So I think that speaks volumes, personally.
Heads lowered, they looked like a single mass. Surrounded by armed guards, none of them dared to resist command.
Also,
12 guards are barely enough to ensure...
My thumb hit the mouse and somehow we've skipped all the way to the end of the video. I just hate YouTube so fucking much. Keep in mind, by the way, there is a good chance that a good few of these people, as tatted up and scary as they look, might be tattoo shop owners. Just saying. You know, like, tattoo shop owners also tend to look a bit like this at times. So, you know, tattoos scary isn't always the best metric to go off of for whether or not you think someone is a criminal. And I'm not entirely confident in the standards for ensuring proper justice and proper, like, trial are met in El Salvador, personally.
The other, heads lowered, they looked like a single mass. Surrounded by armed guards, none of them dared to resist commands. Their life has changed in a day. In this documentary, we will interview one of them, one of the most ruthless gang leaders, known by the nickname Psycho.
10 minutes. You only have...
I also don't think it really... I don't really care about the gang leader interview. I'm more so... Oh, wait, this is him, like, setting it up. The gang leader interview, I watched that bit, and it was like... It was just pretty standard stuff. Like, don't do crime. I did a lot of bad things, and now I'm here for the rest of my life. Don't do that. But what I want to show you is, like, the cells and the situation that these people are living in. For the rest of their lives, mind you. Like, this is them until the day they die. This is where they will spend their lives. These are life sentences. Like, actual life sentences.
One of the most ruthless gang leaders, known by the nickname Psycho.
10 minutes. You only have 10 minutes.
Built in 2022, this massive prison is made up of 8 separate modules spread over 410 acres of land. Each pair of modules is enclosed by 2 separate 3-meter-high walls with razor wire. The entire facility is surrounded by a towering 9-meter-high wall with a 3-meter-high electric fence carrying 15,000 volts. 19 watchtowers are ensuring nothing escapes notice. The entire design doesn't just prevent escape, it erases the very idea of it. Hello.
Hello, we have permission from the presidency.
The soldiers stopped us. We're hoping this will be the last checkpoint. The jammers blocked all signals within a 2-kilometer radius of CCOT, completely cutting off all communication. Over 600 soldiers work only to secure the perimeter.
When I say this shit would be a maximum difficulty Metal Gear Solid level, I'm not in the slightest bit exaggerating. You got no comms, you got no... nothing. There's no shadows because they light the whole place up. Like, dude, I would love to see a Metal Gear Solid mission where you gotta, like, bust someone out of this place because they're, like, an informant for something. That would go crazy. Yeah, like, this place is something straight out of, like, an espionage movie or, like, a GTA mission or something. Like, this place is fucking crazy.
We are going to leave all of our belongings here before entering the prison. We will only carry our cameras and microphones, that's it.
Pass slowly. Look at the camera. The body scan.
I forgot my wedding ring on.
Well, that needs to be put away over there.
This high-capacity X-ray scanner even shows bones and internal organs. It's mainly used to scan newcomers, ensuring no one tries to sneak in anything forbidden on their body before entering.
The inmates used to swallow some objects, or they would try to bring them in vaginally or anally. Micro SD memory cards, microchips, and not only that, even phone charges.
Another thorough body search has been conducted.
Take off your shoes.
They even inspected inside our socks. It took us around...
If you're wondering why all the cops are masked, it's because, like, the cartel and whatnot and organized crime organizations will go to their houses and kill them and their whole families as retribution for being a prison guard here. There are real deal criminals being held here in large numbers, let's be clear. Like, there are dangerous people that will take retribution against a lot of these workers in their home lives.
1 hour just to pass through security, even though we were invited as media after months of applying.
Guards are wearing masks.
Prevents bribery
because
too.
They're doing a risky job here, so if they get identified, it might be riskier for them to go to town centers because these gangs have a lot of connections, so they have to keep their identity secret. Why don't you wear a mask?
I have to talk to them face to face, looking them in the eye. They already know who I am.
We're in the registration room. This area is for inmates only. When a criminal is captured on the street, they don't carry ID or give their real name. That's why their fingerprints and photographs are taken here to enroll in the system. Once they become a permanent part of CCOT, the inmates lose all contact with loved ones for the rest of their lives, as family visits are strictly forbidden. It's also important to note that a small number of innocent people were mistakenly imprisoned during the...
To be very clear, this is their life forever. There is no visiting family visitation. There's no phone calls. There's no nothing. Like, when you get locked up here, you will rot in a concrete cell never speaking to anyone you knew or loved ever again until the day you die, and you never get to leave the doors that you came in through. I think it might be a bit extreme. Like, I get that these are some of the most dangerous criminals in the world, no doubt, many of them are, but, like, we don't allow this in America for a reason. You are about to see a lot of things in this prison that could never, ever fly in America. And the fact that, like, the MAGA movement is all for this just because it's happening in another country, I'm just saying, Auschwitz wasn't in Germany. Auschwitz was not in Germany.
Big crackdown. Because of the no-contact policy, their families have no idea where they are or if they're still alive. For some, this documentary...
There's a lot of shady shit like that. Like, they have no contact with the world. They are not allowed to speak when media comes to visit. They're forced to censor any mouthing of words to the camera. They aren't allowed any contact, phone calls, or visitation from family, and their families don't know where they are. Like, that's super fucking shady. Yeah, these guys all look the part of, like, insane, scary criminals, but looks can be deceiving. And keep in mind, every badass, scary gangster dude you've seen in a movie or TV show is a theater kid who theater kidded their way into the acting scene, and even if they look hard as fuck, they're a theater kid. That's how they became an actor. You know, like more likely than not, right? Looks can be deceiving, okay? These people might be... We don't know who they are or what crimes they've committed. We're not allowed to know their identities. Their parents don't, and their families and their loved ones don't know where they are. Like, they could be presumed dead. Like, there's some real shady aspects to this that make me very hesitant to trust what's going on here, especially with how much Trump loves this place.
It could be their first chance to see a missing loved one. Before entering the modules where the inmates are, we visit the armory of the prison. This section is a must in case of possible riots, and these convicts are the most unsafe people on Earth.
The type of firearm we use is a T65 rifle, similar to the M16 rifle.
This place looks like Mother Base.
We also have this other firearm, which is a 12-gauge shotgun. A Sig-Sauer rifle allows us to maneuver in spaces that are too tight to move.
Whenever criminals are arrested and dragged to the bus, various cuffs and chains are used to restrict their movements and minimize the risk of harm to officers.
Has there ever been a riot?
So far, there have been no escape attempts. We have the worst of the worst within criminal organizations here.
The riot gear consists of a head protection, a face shield, neck protection, an anti-trauma vest, leg protectors, shin guards, and of course, a shield.
Generally, in the prisons, we see inmates invent any kind of handmade weapon, like awls or knives.
They are fully protected. You can see how he protects his feet. Since this prison is so large, we have to hop on this bus. We are entering the module area.
To keep the country safe, 1,000 staff members work inside CCOM.
It is impossible, but let's just imagine that an inmate get out of the fortress. These pebbles that you see are put here intentionally because when they walk on these pebbles, it works like an alarm system. It makes a noise, they cannot sneak away.
Have they tried to escape? No. Could they try? Difficult, because they would have to go through a series of security rings.
CCOM was built with its own infrastructure in an isolated...
an unescapable prison, legitimately. Xanderall, this is going to sound really fucking bad, but for some reason this is making me think of Baki. You know why it's making you think of Baki, Balf? Because the exact outfits that the guards here wear is what the death row inmate, I forget which one, I think it was Spec. The guards guarding Spec were all wearing like the exact same outfit, one-to-one, neck brace, the like Darth Vader looking like back of the neck guarding helmet and everything. Let me see if I can find... Yeah, they showed an image of, like, the helmets and everything. Like, yeah, this is literally the same, like, special forces, like, SWAT gear in prisons that's used all around the world in these max security situations. So, yeah, like, that's probably why you're thinking of Baki.
Invent any kind of handmade weapon, like awls or knives.
They are fully protected. You can see how he protects his feet. Since this prison is so large, we have to hop on this bus. We are entering the module area.
To keep the country safe, 1,000 staff members work inside CCOM.
It is impossible, but let's just imagine that an inmate get out of the fortress. These pebbles...
Yeah, to escape.
security.
including an electrical and sewage system to prevent external interference. In case of an electricity cut or water supply issue, the cisterns and power plants will maintain operations for up to a week.
I'm so excited. We're gonna be face to face with the most dangerous criminals in the world.
Why are you
It's pretty
excited?
tense. We are entering one of the modules now.
You are seeing the third and fourth modules next to each other. An offender who enters one of these buildings never exits through these doors. In a few steps, we'll be surrounded by more than 2,500 inmates.
2,500
It's like stepping in the middle of
inmates in
controlled
one
chaos.
building. One unit. Get ready to see some insane shit.
This is so intense.
Their eyes are all on me, following my every step.
Getting an eye contact with them. There are so many of them. I'm speechless. I can't help but feel unease. All of them wear white shirts, shorts, and slippers. They don't have any other belongings.
Most are barely out of their early 20s and convicted of serious offenses. Even the most infamous criminals in history have an average of 20 to 30 proven victims. But here, some of the inmates are responsible.
Keep in mind, by the way, you guys know how these cartels, like, bring people in, right? I do know that El Salvador for quite some time had a problem with glorification of cartel life, of joining the criminal gangs and, like, living it up. That was, like, a big cultural problem, and a lot of young men were falling into that. However, there are also countless cases in which you are threatened. Like, you could be, like, 15, and you're just walking down the street. Some gang members are like, hey, more or less, we're gonna kill you if you don't join our gang, and then, like, do work for us to prove that you're a true believer. You know, like, if you don't go smuggle some drugs or shoot someone today, we'll kill you. Like, that's more or less how many of these people probably started out. Like, teenager with grown men armed with guns and knives and machetes threatening to murder them if they did not murder for them. And once you're in, you know? A lot of these people probably had no realistic choice, and they ended up here. You know that's the case for a sad amount of these people. Like it's not like a secret on how these cartels operate. They get people to work with them by force, and once you're in with them, you're stuck. Obviously, you don't want to end up here. So why? And you don't want to get killed by the people you used to work with. It's like you're in a rock and a hard place.
Responsible for hundreds of innocent people's lives.
Can I ask the inmates something?
No. If you have any questions, I can answer them for you.
If they try to communicate with me now, what are you gonna do?
I'm not going to allow them. They know from them that subsequently there may be a penalty for not abiding by an instruction.
None of these guys have dared to say a word. What do you think the penalty... They all look like they've been beaten, by the way. If, like, you look at their faces, like, almost all of them look like they've recently been beating and are recovering from it. But I'm just saying, like, what do you think happens if they say anything with the cameras on them that not one is breaking the rules? Of 2,500 people in this building, not one tries to say anything to the camera. How bad do you think the consequences are if they dare to try and say something? Solitary is one thing, but dude, people go to the SHU, as they call it, in America, which is solitary housing unit, all the time for breaking rules. The SHU/solitary is not that dangerous of a threat. It does not keep people from, like, doing something out of pocket in a moment like this, right? These guys are fucking terrified of saying a word. There is something more than just the threat of solitary. And you'll see how bad solitary is here, by the way. It's bad. I think it's something worse than that that's getting every one of these 2,500 men to not say a word. Because it's got to be worse.
I'm curious to know which of these group leaders I'll be interviewing.
It is forbidden for us to pass this yellow line because these are one of the most dangerous human beings on Earth.
Without the bars between us, everyone knows exactly what could happen. There are 32 cells in every one of the 8 modules making up the mega prison. Each cell holds around 80 inmates, but the number can go as high as 150. Despite not being at full capacity, the inmates only have 0.5 square meters of personal space each. Prisoners do not have any ventilation rights or courtyards to walk outside their cell.
Each inmate here has...
These are inhumane conditions, and the only reason why no one is complaining about it, well, so few are complaining about it, is because there has been such an effective rhetorical campaign center around dehumanizing these people and instilling a fear that you could be their next victim. So it's best if they never see the light of day again.
Have been given one of the longest sentences you can even imagine in your life. The only thing that doesn't change that all these inmates will never get outside. They will never see sunlight. The only people are authorized to get inside and outside are the personnel and sometimes media like us. They will never ever leave this building. If you see their look, you can see the emptiness in their soul. They don't have any hope towards future. They look very robotic. Their life is so monotone.
This open corner is their toilet area.
They have like 2 toilets for 80 inmates. It's literally humiliating that these inmates, like their whole competence is disciplined here.
The same place where they use the toilet is also where they take showers. To clean themselves, they use plastic dippers in a single shared basin. There's no running water in the cells, so the prisoners have to rely on one blue barrel for drinking water.
Where they sleep is these metal bunks. No pillow, no mattress. Each prisoner receives just
All the top comments in this video are from people claiming to be young Gen Z El Salvadorians, all saying that this and the administration and presidency that brought this out, Bukele's presidency, has been the best thing for the country ever. Like all the top comments are talking about how this needs to happen more, this cannot stop, and their country has never been better since they started doing this. How many of those are bot accounts? They're the top comments. So even if they're bot accounts, and even if a lot of the comments are bots, this video has 100 million plus views. It seems like the general consensus is people believe that shit. And they believe, and maybe it's true. Maybe right now there is a very strong consensus of support for what we're seeing right now. And the idea that you're disgusted by what you're witnessing might make you a rare exception to the rule.
the bare
Okay, so I
essentials,
had it right
a white
before.
sheet, a uniform, socks, slippers, and a towel. That's it.
The prisoners spend their entire days on their 4-level bunk beds. They have stacked tightly, like items stored in a warehouse. As part of hygiene and order, inmates are shaved every 2 weeks by personnel. Long hair or beards aren't just unhygienic, they can also hide sharp objects.
Let's take a look. Take off your shirt and line up here.
Now they are taking their shirts off.
These inmates were once part of the MS-13 and Barrio 18 gangs, which controlled the neighborhoods of El Salvador. These two rival gangs spent years extorting money from locals and causing great suffering to Salvadorians.
There is Barrio 18, MS-13 gangs all together in one cell.
That's right, just like that. The entire module is the same. They all live like this.
Outside, entering each other's neighborhood could mean being torn apart.
Oh my god,
Yet
that guy
here,
is short.
they are
Holy shit. This guy is short. Oh my god. No hate to the short kings out there, but that's tough.
by side until their last breath.
How do they live without attacking one another?
They have to learn how to live together. Here, they are in a prison. They are not on the street.
Most of the inmates have tattoos covering their entire bodies, even including their faces, showing their loyalty structure. For MS-13, tattoos often include initial letters or the number 13. Members of the other
Those guys
gangs
are
use
definitely in
symbols
it.
like 18 or 666, which add up to 18 and symbolize the devil, or they use Roman numerals. Having gang tattoos on one's face is a clear sign that they are one of the most ruthless and high-ranking members of the organization. Crossing paths with such a person on the street is the same as staring death in the face. The spiderweb tattoo represents being caught in the web of justice and serving a long prison sentence. The devil horns tattoo is a dark symbol that represents these individuals' worship of the devil. Some even claim that they carried out their act.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that bit is true. Because you're also seeing a lot of crosses and stuff. I don't know. The 666 and the devil horns, I don't think it's Satan worship so much as it's meant to be intimidating and scary. That I think it's supposed to be scary is what it's supposed to be. Come on. That can't be true. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are Satanist cartel members, but that's South America has very prolific Satanist communities. Maybe, fuck, dude. I guess, maybe, but fuck, dude. That just sounds like the term Satanist cartel member sounds like a conservative wet dream. It's just wild to think that's real. It could be.
Actions under the devil's command. A teardrop tattoo signifies that the person has ended someone's life. The number of
I'm pretty sure
teardrops
that's
indicates
true.
how many lives they've taken. If there are 3 teardrops, it suggests that the tattoo's owner has taken so many lives that they've lost count. With the phrase laugh now, cry later, these masks or clown tattoos send a clear message. Stay strong in the face of hardship now and deal with the consequences later.
Are all these people truly bad?
They're on another level, high-profile criminals who will never change their mentality.
Never.
If you look at
They
the
can never be
outside,
released.
there's
They
a
will never
catwalk
change.
area.
Guards consistently watch over the inmates from this elevated spot above the cells. If anything suspicious occurs, they will intervene while an extensive network of cameras observes every corner 24/7, ensuring nothing goes unnoticed. The modules are kept lit all day and night for monitoring. When the sun goes down, the lights stay on all the time.
They are constantly being observed. I think this is one of the hardest things. When they try to sleep, they use their towels and cover their eyes to block the light. Preacher
There's no
here
dark.
is teaching some of the important lessons from the Bible to the inmates. They're doing physical exercise over here. There's a
got a
trainer there.
Bible
This
study,
is the
of
only
course.
time these inmates get out of their cells.
These activities take place for a total of 1 hour per week, under the watch of armed guards. For the rest of the time, they are locked inside. They used to control the streets. Now, they can't even take a step with their free will.
It's a rotating schedule. There's not enough space, so they can't all go out on the same day.
Has there ever been a chaotic incident when these inmates were outside of their cells?
So far, nothing.
Whenever we focus the camera on a cell, we often catch a prisoner silently mouthing words. Even behind bars, gang members attempt to send orders to the outside. This prisoner was doing just that, but we censored him to block the message. Despite the crackdown, these groups still hold significant power outside.
Imagine he was whispering, "Please help me. I don't know why I'm here."
Rumors suggest they have plans for taking revenge by targeting innocent people. But in response, the authorities threaten to impose even harsher measures on imprisoned members.
If they do that, there won't even be one meal in prison. Uno. I
This
swear
is
to
the
God, they won't
president.
eat a grain of rice. Let's see how long their homeboys last inside.
Here they get 3 meal times.
That's the
breakfast,
rhetoric Trump
lunch,
loves.
and dinner. Breakfast
That
is
America
usually beans
loves.
and rice. For lunch, they get white
So,
rice.
this part made me fucking nauseous when I heard it. No meat allowed in their diet. But not just no meat, no protein. You've probably wondered, like, why are none of these guys jacked? They're like tough, hard as fuck gang members. They have a nutrient deficiency. Their diet has all protein sources whatsoever restricted, such that they can build no muscle biologically, and they turn into flab. They're literally starving them, and they give them a carbs-only diet. So they're only getting, like, the bare minimum of survival energy, but they can't actually, like, put on weight or bulk or mass and become stronger. So you can't work out and get big. That's not even an option for you in this prison. They literally, like, don't let you get any protein at all in your diet. It's all bread, rice, and other carbs. And that's what people are soying over. This guy and that's what he's saying right now. We won't even give them a grain of rice, is what he's saying.
Impose even harsher measures on imprisoned members.
If they do that, there won't even be one meal in prison. Uno. I swear to God, they won't eat a grain of rice. Let's see how long their homeboys last inside.
Here they get 3 meal times. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast is usually beans and rice. For lunch, they get white rice and pasta. And dinner's pretty much the same. The only thing that changes is the drink. There's no nutritious food like chicken or meat. This is the lunch. It's rice, pasta, and 2 tortillas.
Does the menu vary from day to day?
No protein.
Is it the same every day?
It's always the same. It's for freshmen.
Okay. It's a sugary drink. I'm going to taste it for myself.
Inmates must eat with their hands and clean their plates before returning them. With a diet lacking in protein, many likely suffer from nutritional deficiencies. Before starting
None
our
of them
interview
are
with the
jacked.
inmate, I want to show
Not
you
one
one
of
more
them is
place that is
jacked.
even more extreme than what you've seen so far.
Here we are in the isolation cell area. If inmates break a rule, they can be sent to these isolation cells according to the legislation. The law gives me the right.
Beans have protein, but they get one small little, like, this much beans a day. You can't get any level of, like, you can't come even close to meeting your protein goals as, like, a 150 to 200 pound guy with a small, like, handful of beans once a day. That's just not enough, you know? It's literally just thermodynamically not possible to not then immediately become a skinny fat sort of mess, which is their goal. They want all these prisoners skinny fat. No muscle tone, no muscle mass, weak, low energy, and basically just incapable of anything other than passive survival. Just barely enough to keep them alive.
to keep the prisoners in isolation for up to 15 days. These cells have sealed doors. Through this grid, I can see them and identify who's inside. We serve food here, and we also use this space to put handcuffs on them before opening the door to move them from here to their cell.
Welcome to the isolation cell. If an inmate misbehaves, this is where he ends up. He won't know the time or how much longer he'll be kept inside. For days or even weeks, he sleeps on this concrete bed without ever leaving. They are cut off from the outside world, left alone with nothing but their thoughts.
This is where they supply their water.
Weeks.
There's a water basin here.
In pitch
They
blackness.
take their water here, and this is where
concrete.
they pee.
The basin for drinking water and the toilets are located side by side. The toilet looks recently used and dirty, suggesting that this cell has recently been used. The only light they have is this little hole that barely lets the sunshine in. This openness is also the sole source of fresh air.
So it
What is the
suffocates
most
you
challenging
too.
thing about isolation room, according to you?
Inside, you don't even see your hands. So when someone is isolated, it is necessary for them to have something, a book, anything, to keep their mind clear. But here, they don't have access to any of that. No matter how tough a criminal is, this kind of isolation breaks them. This is necessary
They're so
for
proud.
the type of offenders that we have here. People who once played God by deciding who would live and who wouldn't live deserve the worst punishment. We don't show them mercy. They can ask for forgiveness, and may God forgive them. But here, justice must be served for so many victims, and it's the least they deserve.
Now we're going
I'm gonna be honest. I'd be trying to get put in there as much as possible. The light and the noise of being surrounded by people and having no space, I would take the solitary and total darkness over that. The surrounded by people and the nonstop light and no sleep would drive me insane before darkness, silence, and isolation did. So I'd probably try to like vacation in solitary for like weeks at a time and like recharge my social battery. And just like, because I got a pretty overactive imagination. It would break me eventually, but I'd last long enough that like I would go insane and become like a crash out way slower than if I just stayed in general population. I can't stand being cramped up around people nonstop 24/7. No silence, no darkness for sleeping. It's like, yeah, I would prefer the concrete cell, honestly. At least for stints. For stints, I'd probably like try to get in there, because like, fuck, dude. No darkness or personal space will break you faster than darkness and all the personal space you could hope for, I feel. That's just my guess. I think it's subjective, though. I think if you're a way more social person, you might dread that solitary hole.
to interview the inmate known as Psycho. He has a 34-year criminal history and has spent the last 25 years as a high-ranking member of an organization.
10 minutes. You only have 10 minutes.
12 guards are barely enough to ensure the safety around this inmate.
Remove the mask.
What is your name?
My name is Marvin Ernesto Medrano Vasquez.
How old are you?
I'm 41 years old.
You don't look 41. You look younger, like 35.
That's a good thing that you told me, because I feel old.
Can I see your tattoos?
MS-13.
When did you join this crime organization?
In 2004, but I started my criminal record since I was 11 years old.
How did you first become
11.
involved?
When somebody is born with just a mom and the mom is working, you look for the streets, you look for somebody to help you out. I said, oh, my mom's poor, I need some shoes.
Remember, guys, these are irredeemable criminals that deserve to stay here for the rest of their lives, which they will.
I need some clothes, and I started robbing, and I
as
need
the-
a father figure.
As the warden said, guys, none of these people could ever be rehabilitated. They're the most dangerous criminals in the world.
Because I didn't grow up with my father, and then I looked a group of gangs, then I did a side, and I came right here to El Salvador, trying to change my life, but I seen that there were more gangs right here, and I started doing the same thing I did upstate, and I got locked up. I've always been one of them persons that wanted to accomplish the things that they put in their mind, and I accomplished everything I had to do right here. But I'm right here. This is how the devil pays the people.
Is it true that to join this crime organization, you need to end someone's life?
Yeah.
But the first one must be one of your relatives, right?
Yeah, because you got to gain territory for your gang. I lost my mom, my dad, my son, everything right here because of the gangs. When I could be with my family.
And these things are probably 100% true, and more true than he's even, like, letting on. And that's why I'm pretty sure there's such a massive populist sentiment of positivity towards what we're seeing here. All these Gen Z young people in El Salvador cheering for what you're seeing right now. Because, yeah, like, it was a life of fear and terror living under these crime organizations. And when that is the situation, the people will choose concentration camps and fascism over that any day. That's why the right likes to use the threat of chaos and high crime to scare people into backing fascism. It works everywhere. Every time. Always.
Hey, upstate, the United States, a better life. But, we took wrong decisions, and this is the cause of this. That's why I tell the youth, hey, go to school, listen to your mom, listen to your dad. Don't live this life that we live right here. There's no way out.
How many people's lives have you ended? Is it 5 or 10? How many?
No, if you talk about what you used to do in the jails after, it probably get a few, more than 50. You gotta do it sometimes.
How did you become cold-blooded and merciless in time?
I can't really respond you with that question.
How do you feel about not seeing your family forever since you're in Sakat?
I feel bad because I seen my son the last time when he was 5 years old, and he's 21 years old right now. I want to see him. I want to tell him, hey, don't do the same things that your dad did. Look for a good life.
People who have fallen victim because of you will never see their loved ones again. You will also never see your family. How do you cope with emotions like that?
That's the logic behind why this is being cheered for. These people are criminals, and the people whom they killed will never see their loved ones again, and those people will never see their loved ones again. So why should these people ever be allowed to? It is pure vengeance. You evoke as much rage and hatred and dehumanization for these people as possible, and you take retributive justice. There's two types of justice, retributive and rehabilitative. America and most Western countries try to opt for, as much as possible, even if it fails, a more rehabilitative justice system, one centered around lowering recidivism, meaning you go to prison, you go out, and then you come back in for usually a worse crime. That's recidivism. America has a ridiculously high recidivism rate, but we still have the goal of trying to rehabilitate prisoners, fundamentally. Like, that is the stated purpose, and that is what most Western countries' stated purpose is. Here, they're not even couching it in the idea of rehabilitative justice, and rehabilitative justice is demonized in this situation. 11 years old. Imagine how different their lives could have been if the U.S. would have just let these people liberate themselves from exploitative industrialists. Well, like, this guy's life of crime started when he was 11. Think about yourself at 11, you know? Like, this was not a person who had any say in how their life went, realistically. Like, seriously, as awful as this guy is, and I'm sure he is, like, really think about it. When you are forced by criminals at 11 years old to murder a family member or be killed, and then you have to join a gang that will probably kill you if you ever try to quit, did you have any choice? Did you have any choice other than death? He'd either have been dead for decades or he's here. These are the only paths his life ever had. There was no other option. And when you think of it that way, it's like, I don't know, do we, no matter how bad the situation is, like, no matter how bad what they did was, I feel like, I feel like this is just kind of evil. I feel like it's just kind of evil, I'm going to be honest. Once again, I want you to comment, actually, on this video. If you enjoyed and you want to see more from me, I want you to comment on this video to let me know you saw this far. Auschwitz wasn't in Germany. Comment that down below. It'll let me know you watched this far, and it'll help the channel a lot. Same goes for if you hit the thumbs up button, and if you subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload new videos in the future. And of course, if you want to see more from me on other platforms, be sure to follow my social medias linked down below, especially joining my fan Discord. It's the main hub of my community, and even after today's stream, I'll be hosting a watch party in there. We'll be watching Baki while I work out. It's going to be simultaneously, we'll be watching Baki, so it'll be a watch party and my workout session. So I hope you guys are down to join me, give me some motivation, some hype while I pump iron, and we watch big muscular anime men beat the shit out of each other. So yeah, I hope you guys are down for that. Come join my Discord server if that interests you, link in the description. And finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xanderhall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xanderhall merch through the Streamlabs link down below. Regardless of how you support me, though, thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a good one.